Gladys, I surrender. PM says fight on. Gladys Berejiklian has told other states they must learn to live with COVID cases that New South Wales has foisted upon them. As she waved the white flag on defeating Delta months before Australia achieves vaccination rates, which would let us live with the virus, the Premier was immediately contradicted by the PM, who said the New South Wales lockdown has to work. Now, Leisa, you and I have seen the chaos at the border, Coolangatta, Tweed. I mean, it's just extraordinary. There was a big meeting today, 200 attended. The frustration at the inability of people in northern New South Wales to work in southern Queensland is palpable. There's anger. There's been suggestions that the border be sort of artificially moved about 10k south of Coolangatta down around the Tweed River so that those people can work. You've got 28 teachers in Tweed Heads unable to work in Queensland. You've got landscapers, you've got tradies, you've got all manner of people. This is it's a shite show.
Well, yeah, and we have 100 extra troops coming in to militarise the border effectively as of tomorrow. But I hate to break it to you, Gleeson, but just moments ago when I was checking the latest news feeds, the message from New South Wales is no, they will not allow that border to be shifted south. So people on that Tweed Coolangatta area are going to wake up in the morning to some very, very distressing news, because there were stories around even a woman yesterday she was a GP. She was pregnant. She had to make that decision as to whether she tried to get across the border to do her job, which is looking after other people and their medical needs, or whether she stays on the New South Wales side of the border. So it is impacting people at a very, very personal level. And look, we saw this play out last year when we had that awful comment from the Premier about Queensland hospitals are for Queenslanders. And yet again, here we are fighting over the border, and the fear and the panic that's coming from the Premier and the Chief Health Officer and other officials about it's going to take just one case in from New South Wales, and effectively, we are looking at an immediate snap lockdown here. So they certainly don't want the public being frightened about, or being fearful that they won't take that harsh step, and they're doing everything they can to try to protect it and keep that border closed. So a no from New South Wales, and we are where we are again.
The Australian Splash Freedom Plan for Double Jabs. Good story by Yoni Bashan and Jeff Chambers. Bars, restaurants and gyms would reopen to the fully inoculated once vaccination coverage across New South Wales reaches 70% under a proposal drawn up by government ministers and awaiting sign-off from Gladys Berejiklian. Businesses are unlikely to receive a September reprieve from the current New South Wales lockdown under the plan, which is expected to be finalised and announced next week. So you need the double jab if you want to go to the gym, you want to go to the restaurant. It's we hark back to that front page of the Hobart Mercury, Leisa, where, they talk about a passport. Unless you get vaccinated, and a lot of people will say this is discriminatory and the anti-vaxxers will get out there and protest, all that sort of stuff. But it seems to me you want to travel, you want to get fit, you want to eat, you got to get the jab.